Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about Arizona, and we have Chad from StaffMMJ and David from Safer Arizona on the line here today to tell us what's going on there. So, David, let's start off with you and tell us why is there an organization called Safer Arizona?
All right. Well, my name is Dave with Safer Arizona, and we are a political action committee that sponsors ballot initiatives and legislative action for the legalization of cannabis and industrial hemp in Arizona. Last year, we had tried to run our own initiative to put cannabis and industrial hemp on the 2014 election ballot, but we didn't have enough funding to get the signatures that were required. So the MPP was already, the Marijuana Policy Project was already scheduled to come out and do a campaign for the 2016 legalization. So that's why a lot of activists didn't really want to support us from the beginning, because they were thinking the MPP was going to come out, and they were right. Well, the MPP is out here now, and one thing that Safe Arizona has done is we have taken the role of being the median, or one of the medians between the Arizona cannabis community and the Marijuana Policy Project. We have concerns and we have things that we want to see in our law. And so we have our pipeline, which includes myself, Michael Weiser, Robert Clark. These are the people of Safer Arizona, and our lawyer, Tom Dean, who converses with Ryan Hurley, who is the treasurer from the Marijuana Policy Project. And we've been going back and forth with their initiative, telling them what things we don't like and things that we need to see in there. And so is the Arizona Dispensary Association, and then also another third-party dispensary group. So there's two dispensary groups out here, and then the Safer Arizona community, who are all trying to get their text on the initiative.
Sure. Now, let me just interrupt for a second. There seems to be some controversy, although with the MPP. I had one of my Arizona listeners send me a little note a couple weeks ago saying that they're upset with the Marijuana Policy Project because they were partially responsible for the 25-mile rule and they felt sort of left out. Is there any?
Well, I would say that's correct. That's correct. They gave us the 25-mile law, which was detrimental to the medical community. What it did was it restricts people who live within 25 miles of a dispensary from not being able to cultivate. But right when the law first took into effect, there were no dispensaries. So everyone was able to cultivate pretty much. And then the dispensaries started popping up, and then all these patients ended up being criminalized again. And so then it caused a whole bunch of issues. And it really didn't hurt anyone except for the patients, and it was benefiting the monopoly, which if you think about it, it's not a very compassionate program the way that's designed. And we're afraid that they were going to do that again. And when we first started talking to the MPP, they told us to expect our 2016 initiative to look like the Nevada 2016 initiative that's currently on their ballot. And that initiative does include the 25-mile law for recreation, and we wouldn't have that. We said, no way, Jose, we need our grow rights, or else we're going to seriously butt some heads. So we've been negotiating, and we have a lot of things in this latest draft of the initiative that we've asked for. They've given us some grow rights, 6 plants a person up to 12 plants per house. They've helped us with decriminalizing it for kids, so we're not arresting children. The DUI provision seems good, that you cannot be prosecuted for having metabolites alone. They seem to have parental rights in there, and they legalize industrial hemp. But there's things that are missing, which are gun owners' rights, which we can't. I don't know if we can even touch on, but those are things we want. And then one that's real important is we want post-conviction relief. We want to get the people who are in jail right now, nonviolent, for marijuana-only offenses. We want to get them out of jail because we were wrong for criminalizing it to begin with, and we're repealing the prohibition for a reason. And it's because this plant is actually not what we thought it was to begin with, and so those people shouldn't still be in prison or jail if it's legal now.
Absolutely, that's really one of the most important things is to get these people who are incarcerated for just having some joints or whatever. It's a terrible thing, and there should be some kind of action taken. So I'm assuming that right now The Arizona State Legislature is in session like everybody else's is. So is there something going on there now with in
Yeah, but
regards?
it's kind of not even really worth putting in too much hype over, because you got these two bills. Well, at least the ones Mark Cardenas put in. You're supposed to have two sponsors on these bills for them to even be worth any weight, and he didn't get any sponsors. He submitted them by himself. So everyone's kind of like, what? Why'd you do it that way? No one does it that way. They're pretty much just talking points. Oh, look. He put those in, but they're not really going to go anywhere. Maybe next year we have a better chance if we, as a community, push a little bit harder and keep tabs on it. But we don't think that they were even filed the correct way, to be honest. Because last year, Ruben Gallego, he filed his, and he had like several sponsors, but I think you need at least two for it to even be worth anything.
So, so what is the action? Well, maybe explain to me a little bit about what the program is like now. How many dispensaries are there currently in Arizona?
I'm not sure. Chad, do you know how many dispensaries are around now?
I think there's 70 licenses and like 60 open, maybe.
So people
Yeah.
people that were awarded licenses a couple of years ago in that lottery, many of them haven't opened up their businesses yet.
Right.
Yeah,
I've
some of
heard
them.
that the rumors that
Go ahead, Dave.
yeah, they haven't had the funds to open, or
Uh-huh.
they haven't they haven't passed all the inspections, or they're just holding their licenses to sell to other states,
I thought that
which
the
is some things I've heard.
yeah, that's a terrible thing. People have been waiting to get into this industry for a long time, and they're holding spots if they're not using them. I thought that they had to open up within a certain period of time in Arizona, or else they would be losing their license. Wasn't that originally the way it was?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going through inspections or what during this time right now, or if they are all completely open. But still a small amount compared to any other state.
Okay, Dave, any comment on that issue?
Well, as far as the dispensaries are concerned, and how the medical program operates, is I don't really like it at all, because it doesn't seem like it's designed for patients. It seems like it's designed for recreational, because a person going in for recreation doesn't really care about paying $20 or $22 a gram, but there's very sick people that this medicine's saving people's lives, and it took us such a long time for any of them to even get some sort of Phoenix Tears type stuff, and it's still really expensive. Another thing is their testing is inconsistent. You really don't know exactly what you're getting at all. You're kind of taking their word for it, and they don't really care because people are buying it anyways. So they don't really have too much of an incentive to test, and they're expensive too. They're like $80 a test.
Right. Yeah,
So
that's very expensive, but you know what? It's part of doing business. I think that people that this is still a medical program in Arizona, and people that are involved with it, you're absolutely right, need some guidance. There, I managed the one of the first dispensaries in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and helped them open it up a couple of years ago, and was there for 2 years. So I worked the front of a dispensary, so I know what people's needs are, and there's a lot of new patients and new people coming in to use cannabis medicinally, and they do need a talking to, because if you have a bad experience the first time you either smoke or ingest an edible, you may never go back to it, is what I've seen. So to have some kind of counseling involved is very important. So are you saying, David and Chad, that there's not a lot of education going on for the patients?
That that's exactly what we're trying to do. That's our goal, is to make sure that there's a standard in education through not only the patients but the actual people who dispensing the medication, whether it's a bud tender, manager, even the secretary. They all should be on the same page as what a patient needs for their ailments. If somebody going in there has chronic lung disease and they're recommending some kind of indica or something that's going to maybe help with their pain, they're not giving them a tincture or an edible, it's going to do no good for this person. It's going to actually hurt them.
Yeah,
So we want to make sure that there's a standardized. across the board.
Absolutely. Now, of course, I'm sure both of you know that there's scientific data out there that says that even smoking cannabis actually improves lung function and lung volume. So,
Yeah, and that's
Of
why I
course.
come up with marijuana is safer than not marijuana, because if you're, getting
Yes.
benefits and reducing your risk from using it, then you're taking more of a risk by not using it.
absolutely, I agree. Now, I guess Chad, you're involved with getting people jobs. You have StaffMMJ. So, how many
Yes.
jobs?
We also
Go ahead.
I was gonna say we also run Herbal Rising's Cannabis College as well, which we educate bud tenders, we certify them, make sure that they're all on the same page when they are ready to start their dispensary job. We certify bud tenders, concentrate specialists, and then we also have a standards and practices of cannabis care live course we do.
Now, are both of you obviously have visited the dispensaries? Are they full-blown dispensaries like I see in Colorado and California, where
Oh
they
yeah.
have all the different products? There's hash isn't illegal, and anything like that.
So back in when they first started, up until about August of 2013, nobody was allowing concentrates in dispensaries here in Arizona. A couple court cases passed saying that. Well, let me back up a little bit. So marijuana or medical marijuana in Arizona is defined as usable plant matter. So edibles, hashes, concentrates, we're having a real time. Having a real tough time when this began. A couple of court cases passed about August of 2013, where the judge said, no, it's all medicine. We're going to allow it. Then the law never changed, but all the dispensaries started carrying everything, no matter how it was made or what.
Hmm.
So we do have an abundance of BHO, even CO2 products as well.
So, what is the going price for a gram of wax or oil or butter, any of that stuff?
In a dispensary, wax will run you about $60 a gram. In a dispensary, shatter will run you about $90 a gram,
Wow.
depending on how it's processed.
Okay, and obviously BHO is allowed. There's no restrictions against using that.
Right. Now
Um,
the state is coming in and looking for closed loop systems in our state licensed grow rooms, but they are not testing or regulating the actual products that are on our shelves today.
so, you're saying there's no regulation about testing? I mean, if you buy Blue Dream, does it say it's 23% THC and how much CBD or anything, or is there none of that going on?
Yes. They are putting test results out there, but there's no regulation on that test result being right. So you'll see some dispensaries with everything is over 20%, and some dispensaries where they have an actual range of 12 to 18%. Obviously, one is telling you the truth.
Yeah, and as far as bud is concerned, flower, how much? 20 to 20 something a gram? Did you say earlier?
Yeah,
You
you'll
can
see
get it as
specials.
low as $10 a gram in dispensaries, but some of them are selling at $22 a gram still.
That doesn't sound like a
Yeah.
medicinal price. That's pretty outrageous. And I know how people used to come into the dispensary I worked at, scraping up their $13 or $14 and coming in every other day or every day just to buy 1 gram. $20.
Exactly.
That's very very expensive. Are these
Those are
dispensaries
patients.
set up in Arizona to be nonprofits or are they for profit?
They
They're
say
supposed to be
nonprofit.
nonprofit.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, but
He's got
well,
it.
go ahead, Dave.
Go ahead,
Oh
Chad.
yeah, well, they say nonprofit, but they're not allowed to write anything off, of course. And all the lottery winners who got the dispensary licenses are all business owners. There was no patients who won these lotteries. You had to have $5,000 for the ticket, and you had to have $150,000 verifiable cash in the bank to even get a lottery ticket.
Well,
So immediately,
I totally understand that. I think that there's a lot of people that tried getting into this business without being well backed and not having their money together. So I do sort of understand showing the state, that you have enough money to go into this business.
right, some experience would help verification too. At least some kind of standardized test, before you are allowed to open a dispensary for compassionate care. Another thing out here is that it's a $60 eighth minimum in at least 20% of the dispensaries out here, where that means a patient can't come in with less than $60 and they can't leave with less than an eighth.
Now, is this just some kind of a rule that the dispensaries have made up themselves, or is that part of the state program?
No, this is
I
just
guess,
a dispensary owner rule.
yeah,
They made it up themselves?
yeah.
That's bullshit, man.
Yes.
So
Yep,
somebody,
that's why we're here.
I'm totally blown away by that. I mean, that's talking about greed. You know, there's plenty of people who, like I just said, have to come in for 1 gram every other day because that's what they can afford and that's what they can scrape up. So to do it to that, to charge a minimum of $60 before you can walk in the door is ridiculous. When a patient does walk into the door, Chad, what IDs do they have to show? Are there guards like they have in California, or is it a little bit more relaxed?
No, yeah, it's a very strict check-in process. Yeah, only state Arizona medical marijuana cards are allowed. You have to show your ID and your state license every time you walk into the dispensary, and they scan both your or no, they scan your state license, not your state license. I'm sorry, your medical marijuana card to make sure it's valid and that you're not over your limit. Because in Arizona, there's a limit.
Okay, what's the limit on purchasing in Arizona? Because we have one here in New Mexico as well.
Yeah, it's 2.5 ounces every 2 weeks,
Every
and
two
that's
weeks.
to the day. Yeah.
Okay, so that's okay. So here, they allow us to have. They just raised it from 6 ounces to 8 ounces in 90 days.
Wow.
Okay, they just
So that's a little bit different. Yeah.
but they will cut you off, and the Department of Health here in New Mexico is putting in a tracking system so that all 23 dispensaries at some point in time will be interlinked, and if you've gone over your limit, you can't run over to another dispensary. Right now, that's not happening. And of course, the obvious reason for that is people buying for their friends and diverting it or buying it and selling it, and that's sort of
course.
understandable. Now, here in New Mexico,
But
if you do need more, you can go to your doctor and ask for a raise, so to speak, and it can be approved.
huh.
Uh,
That seems like a lot of hassle. In California, you're allowed 1 ounce per dispensary per day. So I can go to as many dispensaries as I want and grab an ounce per day. There's no tracking or
uh-huh.
et cetera. It's up to that dispensary to regulate you.
So David, how's the quality of the meds in Arizona?
Well, it's not the greatest. I mean, there's a lot of really good bud out here. Don't get me wrong, but it's not consistently great. It's consistently like maybe 17, 18%.
Mm-hmm. That's
Is what
so.
probably the average.
Are some dispensaries like really don't have it together yet, and maybe it's only been what 3 years that you've been open there?
Well, yeah, the dispensaries that a lot of them don't have their testing together, or they're growing together either.
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, that goes on here in New Mexico as well. Seems that even if they've been in business 5 or 6 years, some of them still don't have their shit together to grow some decent medicine, and many of them don't even cure properly, and maybe they're just drying their bud and getting it out the door. Is that going on?
Are they flushing it?
Oh, well, I believe that everybody's flushing. Yeah, I do believe that, but I don't
There's
believe.
no residual taste.
Yeah, no, I haven't found that to be a problem. The flushing.
That's a problem here. There's a lot of there's a lot of residual taste here. There's a lot of sparkling. They have flushing issues here.
Right. If you light up a joint and it starts sparkling like a sparkler, you're in bad shape. So Safer Arizona is out there trying to fix and help help the state sort of tweak the program.
Well, what we're doing here is with Safe Arizona has a pretty strong cannabis culture following, who are volunteers and are willing to do a whole lot of things. And we've been very active. We've had protests. We've been active online and focusing on our opponents' Facebook pages and stuff. It's kind of fun. But anyways, so what we want to do is create this this class so where people can become certified in understanding high quality buds and the standards that we expect to see as patients, and have the class and be certified so they can go into these dispensaries with confidence and kind of, tell them what's up. You're not fitting the standard, and we're not saying the standard is our standard. We're saying we're developing a standard based off of the needs of the patient and what the plant produces. So that is not defined in our state, and we want to get that defined, and we want to educate everyone on that standard, so we can finally get the packaging and the testing that we deserve.
Absolutely. And if listeners in Arizona want to get involved, what can they do, David?
Well, they can go to SaferArizona.com, and they can email our staff at legalize@SaferArizona.com, or you can go ahead to StaffMMJ.com. That's Chad's website, and I don't know if there other email addresses you may have. What's your contact?
You can upload your resume at StaffMMJ.com, where dispensaries can look at your resume if you're trying to get in the business. If you're looking to further your knowledge, there's going to be some free classes that we're working with Safer to develop those as well, being offered through there. There's always a contact form through StaffMMJ. You can, it's on every page. Just hit us up if you have any questions.
Sure.
There's even live operators there to help.
What's the procedure at StaffMMJ? Let's say somebody wants to be a bud tender, wants to be a trimmer, or wants to work the front end of a dispensary, or what's the process? How many jobs have you been able to place since you've been open?
So far, we've placed around 200 jobs across the U.S.
Wow!
And Canada.
Across the U.S. So you're not just angling on Arizona.
No, StaffMMJ.com covers all states, all legal states, and Canada as well. We've got staff in Alaska, San Jose, all across. So we are.
Anybody here in New Mexico? Have you broken into your neighbor here yet?
Well, I keep on trying to hit up, like you guys, as you know, there's only 23 dispensaries there, and they're all pretty tight. So they're not regularly hiring as much. Say, Colorado or Washington is right now.
Right. I read an article on one of my shows some weeks ago that said in 2015 there will be 200,000 jobs in the United States for our industry, and that's amazing. And I think it's a great idea, Chad, that you have going on there. So, Chad, just to finish up, is there any final words you'd like to get out to the public?
No, just educate yourself. Know what you're getting as far as medication goes. Know what you need for your elements, and make sure that the people behind the counter are telling you the exact same thing. If they're not, find a dispensary that is listening to you, listening to what you need, and work with them, because we all need to be on the right medication, and there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Absolutely. And David, final thoughts?
Yeah, I hear a lot of percentages coming out of other states like Washington and Colorado of cannabis above 30% THC, and then that sounds to me like something they see over there on somewhat of a regular basis. And then I hear out here that someone has like 22 or 23%, and it's like a myth. They're like, no, there's no way that's 23%. We don't get that high of THC out here. I think that there's a big issue if that's the kind of mentality that I see. Mm-hmm. We need to be at those levels to where we can be growing those 30% here in Arizona. So whatever we need to do, what the dispensaries need to do, we need to do it, because this is not going to work for too much longer.
And one more question, David. Is there have you suffered any kind of a shortage of meds in the dispensaries, or are they pretty much keeping it rolling?
Well, they keep it rolling, but who wants to go to dispensaries anyways? It's too expensive. I think most people don't go to dispensaries, so I don't think it really matters if they have it, because people are getting it other places, in my opinion.
And how do you feel the black market prices are compared to the dispensaries at this point?
They're cheaper. Dispensaries are $15, $20, $22 a gram. Typically on the street, you can get like $8 to $10 a gram these days.
Oh, and there's no restrictions on how much to buy either. Anyway,
There's no
Dave from Safer Arizona and Chad from StaffMMJ, thank you very much for enlightening me and my listeners about what's going on in Arizona. And we hope to have you on again. And if you ever have anything that you need to promote or get the word out, we're here every Saturday night at 7 o'clock.
Thank you for
Awesome.
having us.
Well, appreciate it.
Thank you, you guys. Thanks for being on Medical Marijuana Radio.